Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai. The internet seems to be troublesome, but this part is fine. You can hear and see me well. Let me start with the metaphor which I feel like will be helpful to everyone. The idea may be that we are living on earth or something like that. That may be an idea like that. But actually you're living in one of two places where you can be. You can either live in the planet of the head or you can be in the planet of the heart. There is no such thing as living on earth. You can be either involved into the head, which is the bundle of thoughts, which is the ego, which is the resistance, or you can be in the heart, which is the Sadguru presence. It is the light of the Holy Spirit. So really this is very important because we spend a lot of time evaluating what we are doing, how well we are doing. But really all we need to check is where we are. So where are we right now? Are you living in the planet of the head? And if you are, you can instantly take a flight back home. It's an instant flight. That's all that's important. That's all that's important because these two worlds you can't reconcile. You can't say one foot I'll keep on one planet and the other foot I'll keep on the other planet. It's like you can't keep one foot on the moon and keep one foot here in India, Bangalore. It's not possible. So if you're living in the head space, then don't try to fix it over there. Many of us get stuck in this. We're living here and then we say, okay, now this thought can be fixed with this, now this will be fixed with that, now this I have to understand like this, and this I have to do like that. You see, all of these kind of things you don't have to do. Just come back to a more original place. And that is the good news. That it is not your true home, which is the planet of the heart, is not distant from you and you don't have to travel there. You have traveled out into your head. So by your refusing to leave your true home, you cannot trouble yourself. That is simply what it is. So I wanted to start with this so that in Satsang we are not attempting to resolve things in the wrong planet. It's not our home anyway. See, it's a metaphor. There's no real planet like this. So I'm just using a metaphor which is helpful. So if you're trying to resolve things in the head with the mind, saying, okay, this thought comes, then I must remember God is taking care of everything. But then when this thought comes, then I inquire into the nature of who I am, and I find that I'm not. None of that is needed. You see, it is needed only if you needed to escape from that planet back home. You see? But it is not needed in terms of making evaluations and saying, this is good, this is bad, I should do this, I'm still stuck, I'm improving, I'm getting there. Most of the time I'm living either way, in the head or heart, whatever. All those are in the wrong planet. Now, living in the heart, what is missing? What could be missing? Now, the only trouble is that this planet of the head has a lot of tourism agents. Each of them come to you like thoughts. So the agent will come. What's a better metaphor for this? Yeah. So the salespeople of this planet will come and say, "Come, come. What are you getting in the heart? Only God is there. He's not going anywhere. You come with me, because I will offer you something in this world. I'll offer you a better relationship. I will offer you love. I will offer you peace. I will offer you the perfect master. I will offer you money. I will offer you the most beautiful life partner. I will offer you money. I will offer you all of these things." So all of these things are what? There is the temptations from the headspace saying, "Come, come to me. You will do very well." And most of us in satsang have tried this for a long time, and it has not gotten us anywhere. It ultimately only leads to trouble and suffering. So that is why you must latch on at all costs to the scent of your heart and to follow that till you reach your home, which is in God's light. So if you believe that you're halfway there, you're almost there, all of these things, then you just have one job. One job is drop everything that is false, and then you're in your true home. Nothing else is important or relevant at that time. Because what it feels like for those of you who've experienced living in the light, then to live in the head, it can feel like a complete disconnection. It's not true, but it can feel like that. When you venture back into your head, it will feel like a disconnection from your true home. And it may seem like your suffering is amplified. But just use all of those reminders to drop the faults, let go, and dive right back into your heart. So, in return for the possibilities and the temptations of the world, you have just one thing, which is the truth. So everything the world has to offer is ephemeral, is changing, is not true. But the truth is already with you here. So I feel this metaphor of us are just trying to build a nice ashram for ourselves in the planet of the head. You can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, you can do that, but it won't be any fun. It won't be true light. It won't be true love. It won't be true peace, true joy. So, but remember that you take a flight out. You don't have to take a flight in. The only flight that you can take is going outwards. When you don't board a flight, you are home, or a spaceship, or a rocket in this case. So, and how do we do that? We latch on to a thought. A thought comes, and something, and then you decide to latch on to it, and then it flies away with you into the wrong planet. And before you know it, you feel like, what has happened? What has happened? What is all this? Why am I stuck? And then, because we feel that we aren't wrong, we never want to be proven wrong. We want to make that work. We want to make that adventure work out. But it can never work out. It just cannot. So let's look at it another way. One, the planet of the head is the planet. Whose planet is that? Is it? Whose planet is that? Yeah. Yes, but whose pretend planet is that? It's the planet of the me. Yeah. So it's the planet of me. And then the planet of the heart is the planet of God. It's the planet of the self. So that's what it boils down to. What is it that we really want? The minute you attach to me, wrong planet. Empty of me, right planet. That's the whole God of me thing. You cannot have both. You cannot be God and because you cannot keep yourself in both planets. I'll just be back in a minute. So, so this is the simplicity of what I'm pointing to. When the temptation of our head, when the me seems strong, all the devices that have been made available to us are just so that we can let go and chop away at the falseness of individual identity. And for us to live in God's light in the presence of the heart. So all that I'm asking is, you can check what is your present attempt. What's the present attempt? Are you trying to fix things in your head? Come to a point of perfect resolution? Or are you willing to let go of everything and surrender fully to God? Okay, so let's look at this. How about strong sensations in the head? Sometimes seems I'm in the head. No perception. That's what I'm saying, that it may seem like you're living on Earth. And when I say that, I'm not talking about a real planet, but the appearance of a world, which is a world of perceptions. So all this pain, pleasure, emotion, thought, body, all these sensations are perceptions of the world which we actually never live in. We just perceive them. So we never should read into something that we just perceive as an indicator of something that is happening to our reality. That is not the head that I'm talking about. You perceive the sensation in your head, but that perception has nothing to do with which planet you are on. You could be living in your heart and still perceiving this world, and the same world could be perceived with a lot of beauty, but that is not a prerequisite. And you could be living in your head, and the same world could be perceived with so much trouble. So, what is my point? My point is that the realm of perceptions doesn't have to change. It's where you are that has to change. Nothing has to change in the world. Where are you? So, right now, where are you? Before we can look into the question of predominantly what is true about us, let's check, at least for the moment. How many are visiting the planet of the head at the moment? Hands up. Nobody? Okay. Good, good. See page 2. Okay, let's say how many are living in God's light? Both. Some are doing the impossible also. Is it difficult? Is it difficult to live in God's light? Kind of, sort of. How many finding it difficult? Difficult. How many finding it very easy to be in God's light? So I would be cautious about the difficult and the very easy, both ends. So this is beautiful to have so many in the Sangha reporting that you're living in God's light. And even the ones who are reporting that they feel like they're in the head. It's not a full-fledged answer. Like what I'm getting overall is a sense that you feel like you visit from time to time, but you don't live there. So, what tempts us back into the head? What are our favorite themes? Anyone wants to say? I'm happy to. Yeah. So before my specs, I couldn't see anyone anywhere. What is so tempting about the planet of the head? Okay, let's go, Shraddha.
Namaste. It's funny. I find it's not the pleasant things, quote unquote pleasant things. It's more feelings of obligation. That's what I'm noticing. The harsher that the feeling that no, but something's got to get done. People are counting on me. This type of thing that tends to be off and running quite quickly. Yeah.
So that takes some belief. Yes, I can relate to that to some level. That this can be quite tempting from the mind, saying people are counting on you. But every time I'm able to spot that people are helped only from my being in my heart. Although people may count on us to be in our heads to help them according to the way they think. Although people may count on us to help them according to his best, which usually involves us going into our head. But what happens is the true way to help anyone is just by us being in our heart. And we recognize this over and over. Although it will have its temptation, it will have its attraction, its gravity. But we get used to that.
Yes.
Overcoming that, transcending that idea.
And it's so evident at the time because I can feel when I'm sort of doing the thing that I felt there was the obligation to do, something inside is out of step with, it's out of time. It's not flowing. It's not. I'm reminded of, I think it was Mahesh who had that tour guide job a while back and was nervous about preparing. And I have a Ayurvedic workshop I'm teaching in a couple of days. And there's like a lot to do and outlines to create and infographics to make and this. And I'm noticing there's
it's a very high-tech Ayurveda infographics.
Yeah, Shutterstock. I'm telling you. There's all kinds of photos. Anyway, so putting something together for a very Western intellectual crowd. The content of the workshop is pure ease. But this is where things start getting a little like computer time and
prod you a bit further and maybe invite you a bit deeper. Is it really about the obligation that they place on you? Or is there a fear about what is the worst case scenario then? If you don't fulfill any obligation, then?
There's the first thing that comes is I won't make an impact.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so suppose you never make an impact again.
That sounds like such a lovely relief. That's
so the mind holds us hostage with something tied to some image, something about what people will think about us, or these kind of things. So suppose we just said, It's okay. It's God's grace. If impact, good. If no impact, good. It's all fine. What would happen if you were useless at your workshop? Refunds.
There's just this really like deep, warm, glowing relief that's flooding my being right now. You say that.
It's very good. It's very good.
I can't even detect any fear of that happening right now.
Yes, yes. Sometimes it's just out of habit. Sometimes it's just an idea, remnant of an idea. It says, but you have to live up to people's expectations, or you have to create value for them, or you have to help them, or you have to have an impact. But we can't do any of that.
No.
In God's light, it is all God's problem, whichever way it flows.
And it gets trickier when the supposed impact is coming from a supposedly like sattvic place. You know, I think the discrimination can get a little wonky there when it's like, no, it's so people can XYZ. It's not like to fill my bank account, but it's the same thing.
So this is where it gets tricky, and you obviously know much more about Ayurveda than I do, but I feel like we can have categories of the gunas in our head, is it? But I also feel that the true sattva is only living in God's light. Is it? So we can determine categorically in our head that, okay, this is sattvic, I should eat this food, it does not inflame things and it does not agitate and all of that. And then we can say, okay, now this is this, Rajasic, this is Tamasic, all of this we can categorize. But I feel like everything turns to gold in God's light. So I just feel that the higher power, which is not, by the way, I'm not giving any Advaita excuses for bad behavior. I'm just saying truly, with integrity, that which flows from the heart has to always be sattvic. I cannot imagine something flowing from God's light and it being Rajasic or Tamasic. How will you put that in the infographic? Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, and then
God's light.
Which is beyond all these categorizations. It's an overriding filter. So overriding.
Completely. It just, the whole game just is gone. Oh, all your grace.
So then, as servants of God in some way, if we have to take that position, if at all, then we have only one job, which is to make this life about that life. Our only job is to make this life about that light and not about the ego shadow. And then as we are open to that happening, then our words, our actions, all are bathed in the light of God. And then everything becomes like a satsang.
And there's just been a belief whenever I'm in session with anyone in a class, like that's just, I'm never doing anything. Like there's really no preparation. Something is just happening. It's the easiest thing. And it's so sweet. Where it gets caught is when there's a feeling of needing to put something tangibly in space and time through writing, through preparation, because I never, ever function that way. So, and then there gets to be this inner battle between, but where is it coming from? It should be, the whole thing just gets really messy, really, really fast. So I consider this an opportunity with you right now, and in the grace of you and the grace of the Sangha to cut that.
To remember that it's not about the activity. It's not about the activity or whether we prepared a lot of things or we just came just like this, empty. It's all, either is fine as long as everything moment to moment is flowing in God's light. Now God can decide to make a PowerPoint presentation full of infographics. There is nothing like that God cannot do. So we must not make this category saying that, okay, now if I'm preparing, I'm not being truly empty or something like that. It's not.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
When you're empty inwardly, then outwardly, whatever activity can happen. And this is the tricky part, because many of us get confused with this. We get confused with this and we start to judge ourselves based on the outer activity rather than which planet we are living on inwardly. It's not about that. This body, this world is just in the realm of perception. It has nothing to do with where we are. And you said rightly that the mind can also poke you with the same question that I'm asking you. It can also poke you with the same thing, saying, but where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? But it's trying to actually help you resolve things in that realm. And if you turn the tables on the mind, then when it says where you're coming from, just switch out. It will stop asking you that question very fast. If you use that as a reminder to just switch out, instead of justifying to the mind, oh, no, I was in the heart, I was not. None of that, just out. Boom.
It's only by your grace that that's possible and available as an option.
So all that's been shared is like a blessing as well as a reminder. So yes, grace takes care of all of this. And yet there is some value in that being reminded. There's some value in that getting seated within us. So in the same, I'm being very sci-fi today for some reason. So in the same way, the minute you sense like mental trouble, just beat me up, Scotty. just out, beat me up, Scotty. I'm up. There's nothing that you have to fix there. Okay, you didn't get the point. Okay, that's too difficult to explain. But let me try. There's a TV show in which they are exploring all these planets, and then when they get into trouble or their mission is done, they just put in their communicating device, beam me up, Scotty. Scotty was the one manning the transporter, which is like a teleporter. So immediately they would just phase out of that planet and be back on the spaceship. So like that, that's like that. They would just come. So just like this. So whatever that beam me up, Scotty, is, whether it is a prayer, whether it is inquiry, whether it is whatever works, you see, that you just, if it's this click, if it's nothing at all, just like that, you have to come back to the right place instantly. Remember this, that you never have to resolve things at the level that the problem is. See, the problem can only be transcended and not resolved at the level of its operation. Problem cannot be resolved at the same level of its operation. You see? So it's just like there's a war happening in a particular playground, two sets of kids are fighting or something like that. Then if there are hundreds of kids that are fighting, then if you try to resolve it, it won't happen. So you need to find a place which can really then make a difference, which is to get out of the playground yourself, and maybe, I don't know, it's a metaphor can extend further, but so if it is like a war between gangs and you can't go and get in the middle, you will get shot. You just have to go to the police station and report it, or something like that. Grasping at a good metaphor to find, but this is what I'm saying. So if you have conflicting thoughts, if one thought is saying this is right, other thought is saying this is wrong, forget about it. You can't resolve it over there. Your job is not to determine which one is right and which one is wrong. See, many of us just get stuck doing that. And we don't have to determine these kind of things. Just leave. When you get poked, leave. So then what happens? This is fun, no? Okay, let's see if I can completely confuse you. So in your head, you're getting poked, you say, I'm gonna leave. No? But then what happens? You're in your heart. And there also you feel like you're burning. Because what is happening? The temptations are coming. See? The temptations from the head are coming. And while they still seem valuable to some extent, it will seem like you are burning. So in that case, you have to stay. It's really fully confusing. You instantly leave or instantly stay. Don't leave your heart at any cost, even if it feels like you are burning. Because that invitation to try and resolve it conceptually will come. It will tempt you to try and fix things. So today's contemplation is a good antidote to living in the head. Some of you may not have seen it. So these are some verses about loving God. Love the Lord, your God, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. So what's important here is not to try and figure out, okay, is this my heart, is this my soul, is this my mind? Don't worry about the nomenclature. With whatever you have at your disposal, love God. Surrender to God, follow God's love. There is nobody in this universe who cannot find this love. Where this being is, this love is bound to be. just get on centers and we just fall in love in this way. Because this falling is the actual transcending, is the actual leaving behind the realm of the forms. And next one says, and you shall love God you shall love the Lord, your God, for your strength. Talk about. But if anyone loves God, he is known by God. This is beautiful because to love God is to, of course, the verse is saying it differently, but I'm saying first that to love God is to also know God. And then in most of the world, we feel that we are alienated from God. God does not know us. How can we be listening to 7 billion of us constantly praying to Him and this kind of thing? But it is not like that. He is the author of this story. Every character and every move of that character is fully known to God. So never feel that you're alienated from the true light. Your existence itself is that light. You cannot exist without God. And then one says, but as for me, I will always have hope. I will praise you more and more. Then this one is, you shall love the Lord, your God, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. The last one is, I love you, Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my Savior. In Him I find protection. He is my shield, the power that saves me, and my place of safety. So the last one is a beautiful description of the planet of the heart. Living in God's light, being in love with God, we are fully secure, unburdened. Your very presence, your very being is worthy of love. This is the antidote to fear. Because the mind is full of fear. It says, what will happen if you don't do your workshop well? If you go and everybody realizes you're a fool, you don't know any of this, what will happen? Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen in reality. It is only that the self-image that we may want to hold up, that we may want to live up to others' expectations of us. Because we don't want them to think badly about us. Let go of all of that. Okay, one child says, um, fear of rejection and not living in God's light fully. I'm not okay, body feeling tired and heavy. let us see if it is really possible to disconnect from God. So the body is fully tired. I can relate to that, body being tired part. So here also body is very tired. So body is tired. Then what else? Everybody hates us. The master also doesn't care about me. What else? What is the worst case scenario? Like, all our relationships are in a mess. I have no money in the bank. Body we talked about anyway. Freedom seems like a far cry. It seemed achievable sometimes, but now as I really look, where is God? Where is freedom? It seems too distant. This is the worst case. But even in this case, are you here? You have to be here to even report all of this, experience all of this. That you is God's presence. Now escape that. Escape that. Any of us who feel like we're not finding God, try to leave God instead. Escape the presence. That which is here, say go. Don't. You don't be here. You don't be here. Can you do it? Anyone succeeded? Hands up, anyone succeeded in this? So, true God we can never leave. But the God that we want, we can never have. True God we can never leave. And true God can never leave us. But the God that we want, we can never have. Because the God that we want has a me involved. Has a me involved. And you just feel like, I'm going to make this happen one way or the other. I will have tantrums, I will be angry, I will do everything possible to have it my way, and God will come to me my way. It just doesn't happen. It's just not possible. So, it's not the one that you want, which is God. The one that you already are is God. What is it that you already are? That is worth exploring more. Then what is happening, what is not happening. And if you keep making determinations about our progress or the lack of it based on what we are perceiving of the world, which includes this body, then we are just using the wrong instrument to track. And that is what I want to shake all of you out from. And some of you are like, you maybe don't realize, but are super stubborn. Super stubborn. It's like, I will have it this way. And then we try every single thing to have it that way. But I'm pointing you to that which is so much greater than that which you could ever want. You see, take every idea you have of utopia, like the ideal situation that you want in your life. You see, take that and you say, Father, give me that gift because that is the highest. You see, but I will not give you that gift because that is not the highest. The highest is that which is already what you have. Yes. I wonder if I'm getting through to this on this point. It's very straightforward and yet it can seem very subtle. We can have an idea of what is the highest for us. If this were to happen, then this would be my nirvana. And I've seen so many that exactly those things happen, whether it is at work, whether it is in spirituality. And yet you realize that it was just something like a figment of our mind. You see? And you feel like, what can be better than that? You can, your heart can, and is. So tell me, is it all confusing? Because we feel like we have an idea about what it means to have God or find God because we are spiritual. And you may say, okay, but I can see that, I can see this one, he has like that, or she is like that, or Ananta is like this. None of that you can fathom because this is just in the realm of perception. In whose light is that perception shining? In whose light is that perception shining? Who is here independent of what you want or don't want, or what you think you have or don't have, and what you're finding or not finding, how well you're doing and not doing. Let go fully, fully let go. It will not come in the trajectory that you have defined for yourself. It will not come in that trajectory that we have defined for ourselves. It is not an upward movement. It is a retreat into sheer innocence and simplicity like an infant. That is why you can never determine your spiritual progress. You can never determine your spiritual progress. It is only the Sadguru presence within you that can guide you. I was telling another child the other day that their mind pushes them, convinces them that they're a failure. So I said to him that you must accept that you are the biggest loser in this world. Then the mind cannot blackmail you. You are failing, yes. You're never gonna get it. Yes. Big, unworthy loser. Yes. Then accept it. Now what? So all these scare tactics, fear tactics from the mind then lose their potency. Otherwise, we keep dancing to their tunes. And it is worse for those of you, many times it is worse for those of you who had spiritual experience, spiritual insight. Because we want to do with that what we try and do with things of the world, which is to try and own it and keep it. But we never can. Never can do it. So you must first be humble enough to accept that you don't know what is going on. No idea what is going on. The minute you start to know, it only causes trouble. The minute you start to know, it only causes trouble. Without knowing now, what is your project left? all the world can throw at me. Make this body tired, it may kill it, it will kill it one day. It can mess up every relationship. All the loved ones can go. All the material comfort can go. And there may be nothing which is seen in this world ever again. There may just be like a limbo, like the solitary confinement of a prison. Even in all of that, nothing can take away God from you. Nothing can take away God from you. If God is really what you want. And all that I've said anyway is going to happen. But what a beautiful life. That all this may happen, but I have God. I have God. All this may happen. Your body may break down now. You may get a phone call now that your family has left you. They're done with your stuff. Left. Our houses may get demolished. Everything that the world has given us, it may take away and will take away. But you have God. You have reality, and all of this is just Lego bricks. All of this is just Lego bricks. To let go of the Lego bricks. Nothing here has meaning except when it shines in God's light. Nothing here is valuable, tasty, fragrant, beautiful sounding unless it is in God's light. And in God's light, your perceptions could be filled with the most despicable thing and you will feel like you are in heaven. And in the hell of the ego shadow, your perceptions could be just the most sublime garden, but it will seem like you are in hell. This is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. It's not about what is appearing in the world. Are you living in God's light? And every excuse that you have that I can't because this is a fraud. And who are you defrauding yourself? Every excuse that all of us have to not live in God's light is a fraud. And who are we defrauding? Who are we conning? Only ourselves. This is the world's game. This is the world's game. The world convinces us that a known devil is better. At least I know this stuff, I'm comfortable in my hell. You see, just if you can help me here, then help me. Don't try to pull me out of here. Because that is too scary. This is the lamentation of the spiritual seeker. It's the lamentation of the spiritual seeker. Saying, can you make it better for me while I continue to live in my head? And I will tell you how to do it. I will tell you exactly, I will give you the roadmap, I will give you the curriculum. You can help me by doing this, by not being like that, by being like this, by saying this, by not saying that. You can define. You can say, now you will make my hellish experience better by being like this. That just is not going to happen. I'm here to pull you out of that mark. You see? Pull you out of that mark. But you have to want to let go. And if you say that I do want to let go, but it just doesn't happen, it's not true. Because you haven't let go of your idea about what it would mean for it to happen. So either God is true or me is true. You can't have it both ways. You were trying to surrender.
Something was happening and I was trying to surrender to you.
What is the process of doing that?
So I was just praying and saying, you want to surrender this.
Okay, so something is happening, which means the mind is strong. Yes?
Yes,
Okay, mind is strong. Now,
so I was
you're saying praying.
I was praying to
Yes.
and surrendering this.
Yes.
And that I was saying it.
That's true. Good.
And
Then?
what did it happen? Then suddenly there was this recognition that this one was playing out the surrender. It's just like that you only didn't, that I didn't do anything, that me didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You only did that thing, the surrender also you did.
Yeah.
And I think that there's only that.
Yes.
So that there's only this. Okay, so there's that split second of a gap between my saying and it happening.
Yeah.
And in that gap, who was there? I'm just asking myself,
Yeah.
who was there in that?
Yeah.
And then I realized it was you or whatever was there. So I feel that, but I still feel a sense of me as existing.
This was a U-turn. I did not expect.
I'm not getting saying that I see in that gap.
Wait. Now who is here?
Stop.
Now who is here?
Stop, right?
Nothing is happening. Now who is here?
I mean, this has to be.
That's God. Forget about past.
Okay, forget.
We don't have to determine what happened. We just have to find God now. How difficult is it? It's here. It's the simplest thing. You don't have to determine anything about anything. Just find God now. And when I say find God, actually, it's just don't leave God now. It's not like a finding. It is a refusing to leave. God is here. You are here. This you is a person. We've gone through this like 10,000 times. That you is not personal. And how many times do I have to remind you that don't go with the but? That's all. And if you did not have the power to not go with it, I would not be stupid enough to say it. Okay, God is here. What are we doing? But
He's so merciful, Father. He's always here.
Yeah.
He's waiting for us.
Yeah.
When we keep going with the temptation, then he's just patiently waiting.
yes, and that beauty and that grace and that mercy should make us urgent and not complacent. It's a strange thing to say. Because many times what happens with us is that, God is not going anywhere. So let's forget about it because He's always going to be there. But don't count on it.
The mind can use that like to
Exactly.
take it for granted.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So the offer expires now. Yeah? The offer expires now. Then what? We still continue to fix the problem that we are solving in our head.
And the mind follows all upside down.
Yes, exactly. In the mind, it's all upside down. It's all upside down. So, whatever aspect of God or form of God or no form of God that you relate to, that is here right now.
There's no journey to the purpose.
Yes.
And there's no journey.
Yes. There's no journey to the heart. There's a deepening, there's a sweetening, there's a ripening. But there's nothing, there are no tools of that activity. There are no instruments of that activity. It's just, how does the fruit ripen? What does the fruit have to do to ripen? How does the flower bloom? What does the flower have to do to bloom? Nothing. It just has to be. It just has to be itself. So for this blooming to happen, for this ripening to happen, is all that is just that the flower should not take itself to be the bumblebee. That's all. That's all. So really the deepening and the ripening is not our problem. We have one job. To not go to the planet of the head. Don't go to me, that's all.
The mind, it knows that is it just stupid or it doesn't know that it has to be stupid?
It's not stupid. It is stupid compared to the ultimate intelligence of God. In relation to that, everything is stupid. But in worldly terms, it is very, very cunning. It is very, very smart. It is very, very sneaky. It knows every trick in the book. So it's not stupid at all. The design, the intricacy of a thought is amazing, actually. Just you could be sitting so comfortably in God's light. Out of nowhere, something can come. You have to be amazed at it actually at some level. Like nothing can shake me. So that's so clear. And then comes posing as a friend, wearing the best clothes. It says, whispers in your ear, hey, something. out. So it's not stupid that way at all. It's very smart.
It knows God is
It's God's design. God's design to make it like that. It doesn't actually know anything. But in God's design, it is designed to play that way. It is not something that can hold knowledge. So when we say the mind actually is just a bundle of thoughts, but the thoughts come from an intelligence which has been designed by God to create that opposing force of limitation, to give that juice, to give that friction in this game. There's no actual entity called the mind. It's just the term that we use to put all of this into some abstraction so we can deal with it. So we experienced a thought at a time, but because that seems too confusing to be able to conceptualize, we make a term called mind. Just like there is no such thing as the body. There's no such thing as the body, but because we don't want to say every time, okay, now there are 10 toes and 2 feet, and there's, and then we say actually there are not 10 toes. Each toe is a nail plus flesh plus bone. Then we say there's no nail, there's actually just these molecules, all that. So because even the perceptual realm is too difficult for the mind to fathom. It relies on these abstractions. It's body. So who am I? We don't say, oh, I'm a pair of feet, a pair of arms, a torso, and a neck and a head. No, even that would be too difficult for the mind to keep identifying with. I am this whole thing, the body. So actually, the same way, there's no world. We use the term world because it'd be too difficult to say, oh, this light, this space, this time, this sound, this feeling, all of this. So we combine all of it and say word. Got it? Word. Okay? So we make a dictionary of agreement on which the delusion is then spread. You see? And the mind uses that dictionary of common agreement, which is called language, to then propose that this is what is happening. The mind can't really define what this is.
He has the inherent knowledge that God is there. And it is programmed that God is there, it has to work us in.
Yeah, it does not have the knowledge that God is there. It's just like a device, like an instrument is designed to give all the messaging which will be limited in opposition to God, in God's own design. So because it is in constant opposition to reality, you can say that it knows that reality is there. Because even to oppose something, you have to know what you're opposing. But actually, it is just the design of it. It's been programmed that way. It does not have the ability because it's just like a thought at a time. There is no actual thing like the mind. So a thought at a time is not aware of the truth. It's just like a floating perception. Just a floating perception.
We have this in master's concept. Who is how does it's not it's just programmed like it's supposed to appear.
It's just like, how does light know that it's supposed to shine? How does light know it's meant to shine? How does sound know it's meant to be heard? It's just the design of it. Like, we cannot explain these things. So this in the same way, these thoughts are designed to oppose, to cause resistance, where actually in perception there is none. And it can be very sneaky in terms of the positions that it creates. But
then only God is.
Huh?
If then only.
yes, but not in the planet of the head.
No. I'm going and trying to believe it. I was sharing with and I was asking myself, so that there's no individual name in the in the sense that His presence is God's presence.
Yes.
I mean, that's only God is in that place. Not like me and God or some kind of.
So satsang is to meet the Sadguru presence within you. Just meet the Sadguru presence within you. Without that, there is no satsang. You can have the most articulate words, you can have the most best sounding music, and you can have the best thing. But if it is empty of presence, then it's not satsang. But you could be just sitting around and the most ineloquent words may be shared. But if the presence is felt, then that becomes satsang. And there's only one requirement to satsang. That is a complete lack of ownership over me. Complete lack of ownership over the notion of me. So it is completely unimportant what you think about any of what I've said and what your conclusions are about any of what I've said. I want to know what you heart about it. What is your intuition about it? God's light is shining in your heart. This is not the physical heart. It's the core in the heart of your very existence. God's light is there. And it gives light to the entire world. Just in one tiny compartment, which we call the mind, is the storage unit of the sleeping gas. It's like the sleeping gas. So if you open that door, it's just sleep. And that sleep doesn't look like physical sleep. That sleep looks like me and you see, winning and losing. That is what that sleep looks like. You see, this is the power of that sleeping gas. Even spiritual attainment, everything that involves a me is a result of the intoxication, the hypnosis of that sleeping gas in your head. So, Satsang is the antidote, where the heart is speaking through an instrument to you, reminding you that this hypnosis is not your reality and it is time to wake up. But what happens to us mostly is that we are in that sleeping gas state. So we just like, yeah, this is true. Right. I am God, actually. It's just mental categorization. There's nothing to do with any of that. You cannot make a position about what I'm saying. You cannot make a right or wrong about it. It is not about even agreement or disagreement. It is just about, are you coming with me or not? Are you coming or not? I'm pulling you back into your light. Are you enjoying the hypnosis of the sleeping gas more? If you have some difficulty, then tell me. So I'm saying, come. You have to meet it immediately and say, what is the problem? Yes, say.
I'm laughing because still same problem that when I want to follow you, or I want to take your hands to
Yeah.
it's always like some mysteries of mystery.
Yeah.
When you feel like you overcoming this and
Yeah.
you cannot,
Yeah.
like I cannot
But even in the experience of that, and good you brought it up, because this is usually the problem, that some perception, something. Now, in the experience of that energy, let's use energy, has it stopped you from following what I'm saying?
no.
It can't stop you, because I'm not talking about changing anything in perception.
So I want so huge expectation, like
Huh?
so
That why has nothing to do with what I'm saying. Stay with me. You see? If you buy a ticket into the planet of the head, then you will go in that plane. You stay with me. I'm saying, are you here right now? Even to experience that sensation, you have to be in. Tell me that you're not here.
here.
You are here. That you is personal. No. Just directly. Is that you personal?
No, it's not personal. It's personal.
So if it's not personal, it's God.
I don't want to conclude, but
Listen, if it's not personal, it's God. And if it's God, then we are wasting time with things which are not relevant because God is there. See? And no person ever was. Not but.
No, I want to follow you what you're saying. Drop enemy.
You are here.
Yes.
Does that you have a boundary?
No, it's right. Yes, completely. Yes.
Are you in full exploration of that?
Full exploration.
Of that which is here, this presence, this being?
Yes, complete. Fullness.
Only be concerned with that. It's like the sun is shining and there are some small pieces of a broken mirror on the ground. You see? And we want to experience the light through the small pieces of the broken mirror when the sun is actually shining. You see? What would you call that? So our attempts to understand are just our attempts to see the light through the pieces of broken mirror on the ground, where God's light is shining in your heart. It doesn't matter what perceptions are there. It doesn't matter if this body is dying. If it's finished, it's finished. But God is here. It is not poetic. It is not metaphoric. It is very direct. I'm not even asking you to conclude. I'm asking you to meet that presence more than you're meeting that energy which is showing up. Can you meet that presence? More than you want to understand what is happening to me with that energy. Who is here? Isn't that most important? There's a presence within me, and we have neglected that. You said, in the light of that presence, what shines, that I want to understand. But in whose light is it shining? Whose light is it showing up in? There is nothing more worthy to explore and nothing more worthy to be in service to actually. But to be in service to, first we have to explore. If you are going to explore and if you're going to understand, only explore and understand the light within you. Don't waste time on the sleeping guys, on the darkness within you.
Before Satsang, the possibility of meeting God was an impossibility. So you said something about the mind. It's used to something, so the comfort of staying where it's.
Yes. It's just it feels familiar. And people could be living in the worst circumstances. It's true about prisoners also. They don't want to leave their prison if they've had a long prison sentence. It's like, this may be prison, but it is our home. And it could be the worst prison in the world. But if you live there 10 years, it becomes a habit. Then they don't want to leave. You know what most prisoners do? They commit crimes to come back in. It's same as the Plato's cave. Somebody says there is light out there. That one is hated. Because we're so used to just living in shadows. Somebody comes and says, this is not your true life. Your true life is God's light. It's in that direction. Come look that way. That one nobody wants to hear. Because it feels like, okay, how does this help the shadows actually? If I find out. So this is what I'm saying. That in the life of the mind, it seemed like God's light was an impossibility. Because the hypnosis, that is the design of the hypnosis, to make it seem like God's light is hidden. But that's my job, to point you out from that. Because you're taking yourself to be something that you're not. You're taking yourself to be something that you're not. And you're just taking yourself to be a bundle of sensations or perceptions, but you're not. You're the light of this universe. What a strange sort of setting satsang is. No? In the world, why do we fight with people? Why do we fight with people in the world? Because we fight with people in the world because when they tell us, oh, you're so small, you're nothing. How could you say I'm nothing? I am this. So, this idea, I am saying that you are everything. You are that in which this world is born, this universe is born. And you will say, but what about my mind? What my mind says. Or I have this sensation or perception. It's not about that. You are that in which this universe is born. And you're talking to me about popcorn. Because you take yourself to be that limited body. So I don't want to know what your mind is saying, what your perceptions are. Tell me about the light. Why are we wasting time? Unless there is a disbelief, it's not even a disbelief, but a lack of faith. See, maybe it still seems like all that this guy is saying is all some sort of like poetic, absurd sort of stuff which I come to hear to make myself feel good. But he's not speaking the truth. Because if I am speaking the truth, then God is right there with you. And if God is right there with you, what are you going on about? See? So either I am not telling the truth, or you are not. Both can't work together. Either I have it upside down fully, like you said, or you have it fully upside down when you're in the mind. Which is it? Which is it? So what happens is that when inhabitants of different planets meet, both inhabitants try to get the other one to their way. Both inhabitants try to get the other one to their way. But what happens in the guru-disciple relationship especially is that it's so absurd. Because the disciple mind will also still continue to get the master to buy into their perspective of their limitation, without realizing that if the master also came along with us and said, yes, that's a real problem you have. It's a real problem. You're really stuck. You're really stuck. You see? If he was to say yes to your limited view of reality, then nobody has any chance. You see? Nobody has a chance at this. You see? So it is strange that when I refuse to accept your limited view of what this is, then you get even more upset without realizing what you're actually doing. You see? Because if the world was how you're making it out to be, then all of us are in trouble. If it is possible for us, even if we take ourselves to be humanity, if it is possible for us to get stuck and for God's light to be obscured and not to be found, then we are all in bigger trouble. So you want me to accept that big trouble, that God actually is distant from us, He's not here, you see, so that we can all be miserable together. But I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy into an idea that a tiny perception stops you from meeting God. that a tiny thought comes and convinces you that, oh, no, but it's still some time for me, I'm not ready. See? Just stop it. Stop it. I'm not buying into that mindset, and you don't want me to. See? Although you may feel like that gives you some comfort. It's all rubbish.
um, I'm going to have a right time talking. My mind isn't really focused today.
That's the best time to talk.
So in all this talking, this example comes to mind of what it is that takes my attention away from God's light towards phenomenality. And the example that comes to mind is if someone was to come here and say, I have to chop your hand off, and I have no option. It just has to happen. I'm okay with it. But if they come and they say, I have to chop your hand off, but there's something you can do.
Yes.
I will go insane and suffer more than getting the hand chopped off because of this sense of power to do something personally.
Yeah, it's a very good metaphor. Now throw it away. Throw it away fully. Because it's not helping you. It will just trap you in that thing. I'm telling you, God is here. Now,
Yes, it's just this sense of choice, and you're right. I need to see that it's just God's will. You know, there's no.
don't see it anything as anything. God is here. When I say God is here, am I waiting for your conceptual acceptance? Like he was saying, am I waiting for your conceptual acceptance or your recognition? I'm waiting for your recognition. God is here. See? Or if you have a problem with the word God, we can say unlimited being, limitless being is here. Because there's nobody I've asked so far, and I've said, what are the boundaries to this being? They've said, here, it starts here, it stops there. You see, nobody's been able to show me the boundary so far. So if you don't want to use God, we can say unlimited being is here. Well, unlimited being is there within you, and you're worrying about something that is going to die. See it.
So, what it's just this. There's a deep fear, that needs to be. The fear is.
You're still understanding too much.
Unending agony.
You are understanding still.
Yeah.
Who can say these things? Who can look at a piece of fear and say this is unending? Is it like being? You have to conceptualize to do that. No. Can you look at a perception and say this is unending? No. You see, okay, it's a little bit of shaking happening in my throat or my chest. See? So the mind makes an interpretation of that and says this is unending fear. Then you're stuck.
So it's just a concept to be
started. Every concept.
How the energetically charged is.
Nothing. No concept is energetically charged. There is energetic and there is concept. You see? Just like the one who's doing the sign language. You see, it has nothing to do with the actual speech. The same thing with the thoughts and perceptions.
So when it's just energetic, there can be no interest in just the energetic component. Interest arises when it turns into a concept.
Yes. So it can be attractive to your attention, see? But by itself it cannot be attractive to your belief. And interest means interested in making a further conceptual understanding about it. Send the car.
Send the car. Oh, it's starting in 20 minutes.
Just send it to me.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes. So I'm making a speech. Okay. You are making the sign language. Okay? But your ability to really convey what I'm truly saying is restricted because of your inability to see what I've actually seen. I'm talking about the sign language versus the inside, not about you and me. So How much can we rely that, okay, now that insight is leading to that sign showing up over there?
I'm honestly,
Okay.
it completely jumped
Ah,
over
yeah,
my head.
yeah.
I'm so lost. I'm so- I have no idea what happens here.
Okay. Simpler metaphor. So, do you feel like those who've never been to the Louvre should make complaints about how the Mona Lisa is a useless painting? Huh? I would say it's not fair to do that. You have to have gone and seen it, and then you can say, oh, it's so small, oh, it's nothing, it's marketing, it's whatever. So, in the same way, the mind does not understand the nature of a single moment. You see, what is this right now? Can it understand? One moment, cannot understand. But it claims knowledge and says, oh, it's like that, the Mona Lisa is too small, it's like a stamp size, it's like this thing. So that's what it's doing. It's saying that you have unending fear. Only God is unending. You see, but it convinces you about this unending fear. It'll end like in 2 minutes. Say, okay, what's for dinner? No, so it's just, so it makes the unreal into real, the temporal into unending, eternal. And the reality is then obscured because we are busy dealing with this stuff. You see, while God is just sitting in the heart waiting. What is the way to avoid that? Don't buy into a conceptual position because this one has no idea what it is talking about. It has never entered the museum for it to be able to say, oh, this is better, that is worse, Rembrandt is better, Van Gogh is not so good, and then Mona Lisa is completely pure marketing. You cannot say these things, but it's constantly telling you about your life. Okay, who is it? Who is it to tell you about your life? Who is this mind to tell you about your life? What gives it the authority? What gives it the power? Who is it that it can tell you about your life?
Does it conceive my life? It's
It
the
doesn't
one that
conceive your
conceives
life.
the life even?
No, no, no.
So it can't. Doesn't
No,
know.
it is the afterthought. How does it conceive your life? You conceive your life. An infant has no thoughts. It perceives life. You see? It is the afterthought which is the interpreter, which says, this means this means that. Do you wake up first or does the thought wake up first? You wake up, no? Yeah, otherwise, the thought which conceived you would wake up first and then you would wake up. You wake up and you may have many moments where there are no thoughts, but you still perceive the world. If it conceived our life, then Manonacha, which is the complete dissolution of the mind, would not be possible. Then you would not be able to live because the conceiver of life is gone. It conceives the life of the story you. It is the narrator of the life of the make-believe you, not the reality of you. So I'll tell you. So if you are now going to conclude, oh, this is what happened to me, then that me is conceived by that thought. See? But empty of that, you are here. And it's good that you don't understand because those are the conversations I want to have. Where I'm having them and you don't get them, but somewhere they're being received. This is what I'm saying. I just want to wake all of you. I want to shake all of you and say, what are you doing? Who is living in your heart? First, find that one. We're here to solve the mysteries of the universe and everything in the body and all of that. Who is in your heart? And who's in your head telling you all this stuff? Why has that one got the authority over your life? Who is that one? Huh? Who is it? Does anyone know who that is?
Just one single thought.
Huh?
Just one single
Yeah, but who is it? Like, whose thought is it? Who is it representing? What gives it power? Why is it to be trusted? Just because it seems like it's always been there. Is it? Just because it seems like it's always been there, but that's not true. And we have given it so much authority that the master should now conform to its views about how the master should be. So much authority it gets, so it can dictate also to that which is shining in our heart. Saying, if this was true, then I would have 2 kilograms of bliss today, not this pain in my knee. This is who is putting all these benchmarks for God? One says, God is here. And don't worry, you can ask, I may be sounding super aggressive, but there's pure joy exploding from here. God is here, that is realized, but something our mind is not accepting. Don't wait for acceptance. Don't wait for acceptance. So this is the absurdity, no? That who you call father or master or guru or even trusted friend, whatever, he is telling you God is here. Instead of exploring for yourself, you're waiting for acceptance from your head. And you will also say, but I am not accepting it. I don't believe it yet. That voice in your head is not you. And I see that many of you have been in spirituality for decades, but you have this boundary around you, see, which is that you are right about something. And that's why I'm not able to get through. You don't let me in fully because you want to be right about something. I am giving you the best news in the world. The best news in the world. That God is at no distance from you and you can find and meet and be God. And if you continue to say, but no, but this I'm right about, this, that. See, that is just whatever you may say, it is just the doubt in our head. It may sound the most plausible thing.
For me, metaphors come in. Can I say?
Yeah.
I went to Kerala.
Hmm.
Now there's everybody's talking about Kulki Sharbat.
What's it?
Kulki Sharbat.
Kulki Sharbat, okay.
Kulki Sharbat.
Yeah.
They shake the
Kulki-
hell out of the
Shake, the hell is shaken out of it. This heavenly sharbat.
and then give to you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, a beautiful percentage.
Oh.
So, final product is fantastic. Shake the hell out of it.
Ah,
Hell out of the mind.
yeah.
Out of the mind. Find all over the marina, the Cochin marina, or really good flavors.
Yeah.
Very good flavors.
It's like he just wanted to tell us about this Kulki Sharma.
In a sideshow, you have,
Yeah.
when things are so serious, you have.
Yeah. It's true, strong in this room. So once it happened like that, once it happened like that, we were in Tiru, no, one time, and we had some singers who were singing very beautifully, but they did not have a sense of like how the devotional singing is affecting the room and what energies are being experienced and all of that. So then after like maybe 1 hour, it was so strong in that room, it's just like Shiva, Kali, that sort of thing. And then this boy very sweetly came and said, I won't say the name, but some of you know. So he came and said, Father, can I please chant the Shanti mantra? It's too
And then you
That's what
took over
Gopala
and
just
became a
did.
DJ.
Huh?
And you refuse to allow people to sing.
Yeah, so I said I
now
will
what's going
decide the
on.
next song. Yeah. The sharing of devotional singing is not just about the singing, but a sense of so that's what Gopal is attempt was getting too hot in this kitchen. How can I talk about the sharbat?
Drink a shot.
I've been thinking.
Did you say cool shadow?
I'm drinking Kulki Sharbat. The hell has been shaken out of it. Just heaven. No, I got woken up because the body was very tired. Some of you know I was just like working the body. So suddenly, there's like a curtain of lack of trust. Because how can it be that I've been going on for like 12 years about the fact that God is here? And I know that you trust me, I know that you love me, I know that you have faith. But you get into a temporary suspension of these things. When you meet this truth, you're like, how can I be? Oh, this, oh, that, oh, this, blah, blah, blah. But no matter what the block is, whatever you may be claiming the block is, your life is prior to that. You can't deny it. Let's play a different game. Let's play a different game. Let's not play like this game where I have to convince you every day God is here. No? Let's play like Ashtavakra and Janaka. One chapter, Ashtavakra did the first chapter, Janaka heard, finished, boom. Then it was just conversation between sages. Just like how Maharaj said at one point, no, maybe something like this. How long will you insist on meeting me as Arjun? When will you meet me as Krishna? And if you just look at the stuff, like, but this, but that, but the world will always give you something to but about. You see, the world will never keep quiet and not give you any. The world will give you. In fact, your mind will give you. The world is fine. You see, the mind will always say, but this, but that. Nothing is there. God is here. We have to let go of our stubbornness. We don't realize it is stubbornness. Of course, we think that we are reporting the truth. But it's just like a stubbornness to dig deeply into whose life this is. Stubbornness not to do that. Because we want to be right about some conclusion which is nothing. What does the mind actually know? It doesn't even know who it is. Ask the mind, who are you? It doesn't even know who it is. And we are asking it to run our life and determine what is happening to us. Throw it up. Come on, come on.
In that quote which you said yesterday from the Buddha and the sage, like a strong man flexes and unflexes.
Yeah.
Same way the sage ascends to conscious space, consciousness, and everything. So beautiful.
That is what you are. The Nirguna and the Saguna are just aspects of you which are not even you. Like these are just categories. You are beyond all of this. This is a strange kind of. Like, I am saying you are all there is. You say, it is. You are all there is. You say, but my mind says, but this happened, but what about that? Are you seeing the absurdity of it? Yeah, you say, I am a thought. Or I'm being, at least that I'm being well represented by a thought. Hello? 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 Hmm. Okay, so this is the project. Either come back to me on Monday and tell me you found out who that is in your head. Or you come back to me and tell me I found out who that is in my heart. Don't live in this obscure sort of, oh, I don't know, there are 2 prompts which are available to me and they guide me, but I don't know who they are. You want to spend your whole life like that? It's being prompted by 2 different directions and you don't know which is which. Nothing else is worthwhile or important. Don't try to understand anything else. Because I've told you some very strange stuff. I've told you that there's a light, unfathomable being in your heart. And I've told you with full seriousness and literally. You see, I'm not sharing poetry. I'm telling you literally. There is an unfathomable being. You see, it means something that you cannot understand in your heart is living in your, cannot understand in your head is living in your heart. Isn't that an urgent matter? That must be an urgent matter. No? Because if you had an ingrown toenail, that becomes an urgent matter. If you have an oversized appendix, that becomes an urgent matter. But an unfathomable being is living in you. That is not an urgent matter. That must become very urgent. You must find out who that is. And if you're getting a report from somewhere saying, okay, I know what that is, it is actually the material, I don't know. Find out whose voice that is. Because one report you heard from me, if you're going to take someone else's report about that same being, find out what authority that has to make that report to you. You see, just because it's familiar doesn't make it true. Be wary of this kind of familiarity.
You have external entities around the world. Many of us would resonate in the heart of what you're saying. Is it right?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Yeah. If I lost you,
Don't at all worry. I'm not frustrated or angry. I'm just trying to break the boxes of doubt and the part. Sometimes I feel to shake that up a bit. I have to rush actually because there's a sort of family event. So. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai. Guru Kripa Kevalam.